Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. I just arrived today to Brisbane, and the day that I spent, I was so taken by Brisbane, I feel like staying for a longer period than just one day. Such a beautiful weather, such a beautiful city, and the Griffith University campus that I was spending so much time looks so beautiful. And they have just started a social business center there. That's another exciting thing for me to see Griffith. They'll be providing access to young people about the ideas and the possibilities, how to build a new future for the world and for themselves. So I was very, very happy to see that, and I'm very happy to see it today. Probably many of you are familiar with microcredit, the word microcredit, that microfinance. That's how I got started into doing something for the village next to the university campus. And I probably can say that I got a habit of doing tiny things, little things. And those little things bring questions for me, and I raised those questions. And while I was doing in the little village in Bangladesh, I was raising big questions, not because I was trying to draw attention to myself, because it puzzled me. Once you start looking at the world from the bottommost place, and you look up what the world is like, you get surprised. It doesn't make sense to you the way it works. The first thing I was asking question in village that I was working, why banks don't lend money to poor people? I was trying to see if I can have some way to protect people in the village from the loan sharks, because they were in abject poverty. But still, they are subjected to a lot of victimization by the loan shark, because they would give tiny little money and capture even the last piece of possession they have, these poor people have out of them. And it pained me a lot. It made me very angry to see that. So I was thinking, is there a way to stop this, to protect these people from those loan sharks? Well, economics that I learned never taught me that, so I don't know anything about it. So I was feeling very agitated inside of me. What do I do? Suddenly a thought came, I can do something for at least few people in this village. Why don't I lend the money myself? If I lend the money myself, the person who will receive the money will not have to go to the loan shark. So he will be protected, she will be protected. I don't have to have a big research project about it, study it for over months and years, write a journal article about it. I just go ahead and say, why don't I just do it? And that's exactly I did. In seconds I started, I said, this is what I'm going to do. And literally I started telling people, you don't have to go to loan shark. If you need money, come to me. And they were puzzled. Why is there something behind this idea that they will be in more trouble? So because they are already live in a world, make them suspicious to everything, because nothing works for them. So I had to assure them, yes, this is plain, simple. Whenever you can, you pay me back. That's it, very simple, nothing more. So they started taking money. And gradually it became very popular, more and more people coming. The more they came, the more excited I got that I'm at least helping some people. My ambition was going to the village, can I make myself useful to at least some people, at least one person a day? Because I felt as an economist, I was not being helpful to anybody. Because all those things that I teach in the classroom, doesn't relate to the life of the people. These are more of a fairy tales. Looks good, elegant, beautiful. But when it comes to the real problem, it cannot solve the problem of the people. Otherwise, why should people go hungry? Why do people should go poor? So I was accusing myself for learning something which doesn't help people. So I was trying to do the things that I can do without the help of economics. And this is what one of the things I tried to do. And once I did that, I started in conversation with the banking system. I was telling the manager to do this, manager of the bank located in the campus to do that. He fell from the sky. He couldn't believe that I'm asking his bank to lend money to poor people. And he couldn't understand my position. I couldn't understand his position. So it's a no-go situation between two of us. And I started pressing him. I said, you have a bank. Bank is supposed to lend money to people. You do it in such a funny way. You lend money to people who already have lots of money. And you don't lend money to people who don't have money. I said, I thought it should be the other way around. You should be lending money to people who don't have money, and other people who have money, they can wait. They thought I'm being funny. I was very serious, but they didn't listen. They started explaining to me they cannot lend money to people because they are not creditworthy. So when I heard that word, creditworthy, I said, is it right that you should be telling whether people are creditworthy or not? Shouldn't the people ask you whether you are people-worthy? That's the challenge you have to deal, because today you are not. You are not coming up with services that they can take from you and make a difference in life. And I keep raising this question again and again. That never stopped, particularly for the financial system. I still, in the same position, raised the question that banking system is designed the wrong way. As a result, we create a lot of problems for people. And I said, financial service to people is like a kind of economic oxygen. If you don't have that oxygen, you cannot be economically active. So if you don't have that oxygen, you gasp. It's difficult for you to breathe. And you become inactive, weak. I said, if you provide that economic oxygen, and suddenly people become active, strong, they can take care of themselves. But that you refuse to them. More than half the population in the whole world are not connected with the banking system. I said, how can you go ahead and do this kind of thing? And I blame now, after I have done that, seeing what happens to people, I repeatedly said, poverty is not created by the poor people. Poverty is created by the system that we have built. That is the cause of poverty. And I try to explain it to people to make them understand how I feel about it. I said, poverty is like a bonsai, a bonsai tree that you have a cute little tree, it grows out of a flower pot. I said, if you take the seed of the tallest tree in the forest, and to choose the best seed, if possible, and put in a flower pot. And it will sprout, it will grow, but it will grow only this much. And you'll be asking yourself, what's wrong with this plant? Why doesn't it grow as big as the one that we saw? Is there something wrong with the seed? Of course there's nothing wrong with the seed. We selected the best seed. The real answer to that question, what's wrong, is nothing wrong with the seed. Simply we didn't give the seed enough soil, enough space to grow as tall as the one that you saw in the forest. I said, poor people are actually bonsai people. There's nothing wrong with their seed. Simply society never gave them the space to grow as tall as anybody else in the society. So once you change that, you change the base, they will be as tall, as active as anybody else. But it still is very difficult for people to understand that and continue that. And today we got into more trouble and more worries got into the picture because of the wealth concentration. All the wealth of the world is in few hands right now. And it has been repeatedly made public in the newspapers and so on. 1% of the population of the entire world own 99% of the wealth of the world. So if you state it in another way, 99% of the population of the world owns only 1% of the wealth of the world. So that's us who have the access to 1%. But that's 99% of the population. I said, I wish they had also made a little more segments, strata in that statement. How much wealth bottom 50% of the people have? How much wealth bottom 25% of the people have? Probably such a small fraction of that 1%, you have to have a very powerful magnifying glass to find out how much they got. That's one way to look at it, but the terrifying thing is, it's getting worse every day. What it was yesterday or last year, it's worse today than that figure. Last year, there were 62 people in the world who own more wealth than the bottom 50% of the population. Just 62 people. We didn't know who they are. This year is very interesting. Only 8 people in the world own more wealth than the bottom 50% of the population. And we know them all. They are familiar people. Their pictures are in the newspaper. These are the 8 people who have them. And you don't feel they're monsters. They're fine people. We love them. We respect them. Then why does it happen? If they're not some kind of monster, how come all the wealth is in their hand? Because of the system that we built. That system, what we call a capitalist system, is sucking up everything to pass on to the fewer people on the top. Every time it goes, it becomes fewer and fewer people on the top. Today, there are 8 people, which owns 50%, bottom 50% of people's wealth. Next year, how many people will own more wealth than the bottom 50%? You can guess. It may be 5, it may be 2, it may be 1. One person owning more wealth than the bottom 50% of the population. 3.5 at least billion people. 1%. That's equivalent. That's the most terrifying thing. And I keep saying that this is the ticking time bomb. It can explode anytime. It can explode in a political way. It can explode in a social way. Don't know which way it will come, but it will come because people cannot just sit there and watch all the wealth going in one direction. They don't get anything for themselves. They may understand why it is happening. They may not even understand why it's happening. Some populist leaders today are saying that, well, it's because of the immigrants coming to your country, to our country. They are taking away everything. Or the people, minorities, they are taking away everything. That's why we have problems like this. And it shows them in politics. The Brexit is a result, exactly the same kind of arguments, that if the Eastern European people are allowed to come into United Kingdom, they will take off everything, so we will not have much left. So why don't we stop them coming? And the best way to stop them coming, get out of European Union. Don't get into trade agreements that takes away our jobs in other countries. So let's try to get out of those trade agreements which take our jobs. So we have Brexit, and the same arguments we heard in the United States. Let's build a wall so that Mexicans cannot come into it. And let's get out all the trade agreements. Let's stop all the immigrants so that we can have our world. These are all wrong kind of argument, trying to make a populist case from the people, taking political advantage of it, but that doesn't solve any problem. If you continue to do that, more and more countries will follow that path and create more trouble. As I said, ticking time bomb, this is the way to open up the ticking time bomb to explode, because you're not solving the problem. Solution to the problem is to reverse the process so that people can share that wealth. It's a very simple thing. You cannot deny that it's happening. So keep your blinder on and say, no, it's not happening, we are okay, we are a prosperous country. That will not take very long to realize that what is happening inside the country and inside the whole world. And if you look at the other way, all this wealth that 1% of the people have, 99% of the wealth, if you look at the country-wise, probably 5 countries in the world, looking at from the countryside, all these 99% of the wealth is in only 5 countries of the world. So what happens to the rest of the world? They have to have the 1% of the wealth shared among them. So that's not a good scenario either. So that continued, and I raised this question. While doing microcredit, I got involved in other things. Seeing the problems of the people that I work with, I wanted to address those things. Healthcare, housing, sanitation, you name it. When you're dealing with the poor people, these are bundles of problems you can figure out, you can see. So what I do when I see a problem, I wanted to be helpful in some way. I'm not trying to solve the global problem. I'm just solving few people that I'm working with, see if I can make it easy for them. So I look at the healthcare. So I come up with a solution. The solution that every time I come up with is a funny thing that it happened and continued to do that. I create a business to solve it. I don't know if anybody thought that way, but this became very habit-forming with me. The more I see the problem, the more I create business to solve it. And I have created lots of those businesses to solve it. To give one example, in Bangladesh, which became big, at one point I saw that people in the villages don't have electricity. At that point, about 25 years back, 75% of the people have no electricity in the country. So I was thinking, what a shame that after all these years, all this change in the world, people still have to live in a kind of prehistoric way, burning oil, kerosene oil in this case, to have some light at the evening. And why can't we have electricity? The idea that came, that they are talking about solar energy, solar electricity, why don't we do it here? I talked to the experts. I'm not an expert on solar energy. They said, well, our solar energy is good, but it's not really relevant to Bangladesh because it's very costly, and you have to have this, you have to have that. And it's good for Europe, it's good for North America, but not for Bangladesh. Bangladesh cannot afford it. I said, why not? Because these are expensive. I said, tell me how expensive they are. So I sat down, tried to understand it, and came up with the idea, I will make it very, very small so that it's become affordable to people. So all I had to do is to buy some solar panel and put a battery, connect them, you got the electricity. And try to explain to them that, look, this will cost you so much. If you give me, I'll give you electricity. People say, you never heard of it. This may not work after a while, and you want to take the money. We can't afford to pay you all the money. So it's very difficult to convince them. Selling 5 or 6 solar home systems a month was such a struggle. Nobody pays attention. So we kind of came up with the marketing idea. I said, we keep asking, We ask a customer, future possible customer, how much money you spend on kerosene just to have your light in your house. You must spend this money because that's the way you get your light. Let me give you the numbers. So if you figure how much they spend on kerosene. I said, here's the deal. You give me the money that you spend on kerosene every month, and I give you solar energy. You don't have to have any kerosene at all. And you will have more light than you can get from kerosene for the same money. And you do continue to pay the same amount every month over the next 3 years. After you have done it for 3 years, you don't have to pay a penny to me, it's all free. They realized that you cannot pass up that deal. Sounds good. And I said, if you are not satisfied, you can give it back to me. You don't have to pay a penny. You go back to kerosene. Then they started trying it out. And it became very popular. Because if you have one kerosene light in the village, you can see from miles because of the power of the electricity compared to the kerosene. So you see that your neighbor has a electric bulb. The whole village knows that they have electric bulb, and they can now have a television in their home and many other facilities which needs electricity. So as a result, it became very popular. Today, that company that we created, we call it Grameen Shakti or Grameen Energy, has put 1.5 million homes with solar energy. So that continues now. Every day we are selling more and more, but today we say 1.5 million homes with solar energy. Did I do it to make money for myself? That never crossed our mind. All we wanted to do is to bring electricity to people. In a way, it covers all the costs, so that it's not subsidized. It's not free. Government probably will have given free electricity for a few houses and say, look, we have solar energy in the house. But then it stopped, because you can't do everybody to go solar with government funds distributed as a charity. One thing I learned in my work, that if you do something as a charity, it's a good idea. It helps people as a charity. But charity has a limitation. Charity money goes out, does a wonderful work, the money doesn't come back. So I kept telling that, look, charity money has only one life. If you take the objective of charity and put a business engine behind it, and suddenly it becomes powerful. And that's what I did in the case of solar energy and many other companies that I created in Bangladesh. With that spirit, and I started calling them social business and defining them as non-dividend company to solve human problems. So only thing I did, I removed the idea of making personal money and focused the whole business in solving problems. When you do that, lots of creative idea keeps coming, one after another. You start with one creative idea, then 10 creative idea comes to improve it, and you continue to improve it to do this cheaper, better, and so on. And I said, this is what is missing in the whole economics. And I started raising question, who says all businesses have to make money? Theory is completely wrong. That's what they told us, that's what told the whole world, that if you're in business, your sole responsibility is to maximize your profit. I said, because we believe in it, because that's how we learned, that's how our teachers taught us, that's how our textbooks taught us, and we went ahead and did business on that principle, maximization of profit. So the whole world became a kind of profit makers, money-driven enterprises. And in the process, we became sort of a money-making robots. We cannot consider anything else. We only think about money. As a result, we created all these problems because our attention is only on the money. I said, the real human beings are not like that. It's an artificial human being the theory has presented to us. And we are following that imitating that artificial human being. Real human being is a multidimensional being. He or she may be selfish, at the same time, he or she may be selfless at the same time. The selflessness part is completely ignored in the economic theory. The theoretician probably meant, if you want to be selfless, why don't you go and become a philanthropist? Why mess around with your business? Business is business. That's what we are told. I said, that's a wrong statement. We can, as a human being, we can create both kinds of business, business to make money, business to solve problems. It's up to you to decide which one you want. You see, capitalist theory always says it provides option to people. And that's the beauty of capitalist system. I said, when it comes to business, it doesn't give any option. You have to do business to make money. I said, what I'm doing, I'm improving that capitalist system by giving option to everybody to choose from. You want to make money? Here it is. If you want to solve the problem, here it is. You can do both. You can do one exclusively, one or the other, or you can do both at the same time. You can have money-making business and you can have problem-solving business. That idea I was trying to say, it has to be replaced because the present capitalist system is a kind of disaster path. It will create for us, it creates problem each day, as I was explaining, giving wealth concentration idea. And there are many other issues, environment and many things. So I said, this is what this is. Why don't we just add this is, and that it solves the problem. Other things struck me. It's all coming from the work that I do, and I had to raise this question to myself. When I explain to other people, for some it may make sense, for some it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense to me, so I go ahead and do it. I don't have to wait for anybody whether it makes sense to them or not. I enjoy doing it, I keep doing it. But what pleases me now, many people around the world becoming interested in the subject of the social business and so on. That's how when Griffith University sets up a social business center, it excites me, makes me happy that it makes sense here too. So that gives me more confidence about the future. It can be done, we can do that. Another issue that came along the way, as the young people in Bangladesh, particularly the second generation of Grameen Bank families, today Grameen Bank has over 9 million borrowers, mostly women, 97% women. And they own the bank, they take the money and start a business and continue to take the money, improve their life. Bangladesh has done wonderful in terms of reducing poverty in the country. When we became independent in the end of 1971, our poverty line went through 85%. 85% of the people were under poverty. Today, that poverty line came down to 22%. So that's a long journey that we took. And we achieved that Millennium Development Goal number 1, reducing poverty half by 2015. And instead of waiting for 2015 December, Bangladesh achieved that goal by the middle of 2013, 2.5 years before. So that's an exciting news that we can do that. Now we look forward to the SDG goal, Sustainable Development Goal. Number 1 goal is to reduce poverty by 2030. And Bangladesh is well placed to achieve that goal, reducing poverty to 0 before 2030, because the way the trajectory of reduction is going. So we feel very happy that it could be achieved. While it's happening in the families of Grameen Bank members, we see the young people in that families, they go to school, we help them to go to school, have good education, give them education loan, but they have no jobs. They complain, we have no jobs, why do we have to go to school if nothing happens out of that education? Then I started raising questions with them, challenging them. I said, who asked you to have a job? Did your teacher tell you to have a job? They couldn't answer that. This is a silly question to ask. Did your textbook tell you to have a job? No answer. I said, you forget the whole idea of job. You are not born to work for somebody else. These are wrong ideas, absurd ideas, coming from the past. Get rid of it. They should have stopped it in the beginning of this century, but somehow it is still lingering on. I said, tell yourself again and again, and every morning you wake up, you repeat to yourself, I'm not a job seeker, I'm a job creator. And behave like a job creator. Act like a job creator. If you're a job creator, you feel tall. If you think like a job seeker, you feel small because you're at the mercy of other people. Why should anybody be at the mercy of anybody else? A human being is complete by himself. He doesn't have to be at the mercy of anybody. So I keep saying that the job is a wrong idea. You become an entrepreneur. And I insist. I keep saying that, look, human beings are born as entrepreneurs. This is not something your education system brought into you or something. We are born as entrepreneurs. And that's what we are bringing from our past history. Hundreds of thousands of years of history on this planet. When we were in the caves, we were not sending job application. That we didn't do. Here is the job application from cave number 5 to cave number 10. We didn't do that. We just went ahead and get things done. That's our tradition. That's our history. And that's how we are known as hunters. We are known as gatherers. We are known as farmers, meaning that we did our own thing. We are problem solvers. We are go-getters. That's what we are. Now suddenly somebody said you have to go and work for somebody else. I said, that's distortion of a human being, to work for somebody else. So you be yourself. You're a creative being. Don't let that creativity surrender for a job. Do what you want. A job will cut you into a little robot to fit into their need. And that will be the end of you. Be yourself and discover what an endless creative power, what an endless energy you have inside of you. Make use of it. Well, they got shocked. They got surprised to hear that. What do we do? What is he saying? Then I asked them the question. When did your mother join Grameen Bank? 20 years back? 25 years back? When she joined Grameen Bank, she was scared to death. She was an illiterate woman, never handled any institution. Now she's taking some money from the institution. She braved to take that money. It was a gesture of a big courage for her to take a $30 loan, a $40 loan. She took a $40 loan and became an entrepreneur. If your illiterate mother, a mother who never left her village in her life, if she can start to become an entrepreneur with a $30 loan, what's wrong with you? With all your education, you're saying you have to get somebody's job. You have to work for somebody. Why can't you just learn from your mother? So now we are encouraging to do that. Then there's essential piece missing in this whole conversation. We needed to have the money. So we created a fund, a social business fund, ask all the young people to come forward with business ideas. If you come up with a business idea, we invest in your business from the fund, social business fund. Since we are social business, we are not interested in your profit. All we want to have our money back, that's all. So it's a venture capital with a twist in it. In venture capital, investor is looking for big return, big money to come for him. Here we dismiss this idea of making money out of that person. We simply say this is social business. We give you the money as an investment. It's our joint venture. Let's work together. You don't have any risk because I gave you 90% of the money. You have only 10% of the money. If the business fails, it's our business fail. Don't worry about that. We work together to make it successful. And we will not leave you until we are successful. So that's it. So we challenge them. Now they're coming with business ideas. We keep on investing. Today we have more than 13,000 young people. We started 2.5 years back. Every day we are having hundreds and thousands of young people coming with business ideas. And they don't wait to get the money. So that they get the money, go right ahead doing that and are starting business. So if you put the money on the table, everybody in the world will become businessmen, will become entrepreneur. That piece is missing. Nobody gives money. If there's an unemployed young people in Brisbane with a brilliant business idea, He knocks at every bank in Brisbane. They give me the money, I can start this business. You think bank will give the money? No way. Because you are a newcomer, you have no identity, we don't know who you are, you're a startup. Bank doesn't do that. So we need to create a new institution to do that kind of. That's how the microcredit came. It's based on trust. We are not looking what you have. We never ask anybody, what do we have? We simply said, what do you want to do with the money we gave you? That's the only question. What you have is a irrelevant question. So this is the beginning point. That's how you start. That's how you make it happen. So today we are saying that we don't have, the unemployment is an artificial issue because it came from a wrong idea of having employment for everybody. So because you cannot give employment for everybody, you create unemployment. That's the issue, came out of the wrong thing. If everybody's entrepreneur, you will have a completely different scenario. And this is also leading to us to hold a state charity, welfare system. You don't have a job, you haven't own income, government will take care of you. I said that government taking care of citizens is a very important responsibility of the government. But that responsibility has to have an expiry date. Meaning that first responsibility of the government is to take care of the citizen so that the citizen doesn't suffer. But the second, the most important responsibility of the government is to help that person get out of charity with his own will, not pushing them. That part is not done. Today, I can guarantee you, if you come with the money and ask all the welfare system, come with the business ideas. Some of them will. And you start the business. Let them do. If some of them start a business, others behind them, their friends, their relatives, say, hey, he's going ahead. Why am I sitting here? I can do better than him. So others will come too. They will be the beginning of the whole process. So this is the kind of cycle that you have to create, the kind of thing that you have to need. So you keep asking questions. The business has to be the same way. Job creation is the same way. Today, job creation is having another problem. The robotics are coming. Whatever job is already there will be shrinking. Artificial intelligence is coming. Whatever job you have will be reducing. Where will the people go? And then global population is increasing. Every year, 40 million young people come to the job market. Every year. 40 million young people globally come to the job market. Do we have jobs for those 40 million? It's a scary thought. And I reversed that question. When somebody mentioned that, I said, look, I don't look at it that way. I don't feel terrified by that 40 million. I feel excited about that 40 million. I get excited because I see 40 million young entrepreneurs are entering the market. They will change the whole world. So prepare for that so that entrepreneur don't have to stop for a second. They move, they land running. Continue to do that. So that's what. So I put 3 zeros in front of me so that I can see which way, which direction I have to move. And zero number 1 is the zero poverty. As I was explaining, poverty is not caused by people, created by people, it's imposed on them. So we try to change those systems to make it happen. Zero number 2 is zero unemployment. I said, imagine 30 years from now, 40 years from now, the young kids in the classroom sitting together, they were discussing among themselves. You know, in 2017, there are a lot of unemployed people in the world. The other kid says, what is unemployment? They says, well, there was unemployment means people were not doing anything. Why were not to do anything? Because he was not employed. Why didn't he do it himself? Is he sick? He's not sick. Did he have good ideas and things? He had lots of ideas. Then why didn't he go and do it? It will be extremely difficult to end this conversation in an amicable way because they cannot understand why people sit idle. Did the system put a spell on that person? That he got paralyzed? Otherwise, how can a human... Could you be unemployed in a cave? You couldn't. You have to go and get something to eat. That's it. There's no option. That's what we are. This is our history. So why are we sitting now? Because, as I said, system has put a spell on our thinking, a spell on our body. We cannot function, we cannot lift our fingers, and so on. So that's the thing that we have to create, zero unemployment. And the next one is zero net carbon emission. We were very happy after 40 years of struggle, finally we came to Paris, signed agreement, deed that yes, we are going to do that. After lots of debates, lots of controversies, we agreed, the whole world agreed. Now suddenly, Trump says it's a hoax. Climate change is a hoax. He says whatever climate decisions were made during Obama, he will skip all of them. So we go to square one again. So this is the danger, that we achieve something and suddenly we get backtrack, we fall back. So we don't have to fall back. We have to keep forward. We have to move forward to make it happen, because human spirit is always to go forward and make it happen. If we make a decision, if you have a commitment to achieve something, we make it happen. All we need is our effort and our ingenuity and our technology to put in that direction. And it will happen. We have to challenge all the rules and regulations, all the theories that we have. And all the theories we have, they take us in a certain direction, a certain destination they take us to. I said, if you build the road, the end of the road, and you don't like the destination, then the end of the road. If you keep on going by the same road, you will always end up with the same destination, which you don't like. If you don't like, you have to design another destination. And if you design another destination, it's on you now to build the road to get to the destination. So this road that we built is not working for us. So that's why we have to build the road which will take us where we want to go as a human being, create a completely new civilization. Greed-based civilization has no future. It will lead us to a disastrous situation. We have to come out of the greed-based civilization to a new civilization which is based on human values, where we will live together, share our wealth together in the way a human being will enjoy living on this planet. Thank you very much. Thank you.